Hello and welcome to iOS 8 Programming. I'm Norman McIntyre and I'll be your instructor. We're going to learn how to write mobile applications both for the iPhone and for the iPad. This course has been fully updated for Xcode 6 and iOS 8, so you'll have the latest and greatest information, both how to use the latest Xcode 6 tool as well as the iOS 8 application programming interfaces. We'll learn how to use Xcode 6 to build and debug iOS 8 applications, and you don't even need an iPhone or iPad to take this course because we're going to run the code on an iOS simulator. So you can actually run it on the simulator. You'll learn how to write iOS 8 applications to display views on the screen. You'll learn how to use something called a view controller, which controls the view. You'll learn how to display alerts. You'll learn how to play multimedia, and actually many other skills as well. So as a result of taking this course, you'll be able to use Xcode 6. You'll be able to not only write code, but also debug code using the iOS 8 application programming interface. And what's exciting, you'll find out that the majority of what we learn works on both the iPhone and the iPad. You'll be able to use something called the Xcode 6 Interface Builder to lay out your user interface. This is a very interesting tool because you can drag and drop your user interface items using Interface Builder, and then you connect them up using Xcode, and then you make your code run and respond to the touches on those controls. You'll be able to write iOS apps using modern Objective-C. That is, we're going to use the Objective-C language, all the modern aspects of that language, to write our iOS applications. You'll learn how to create single view controller applications. A lot of applications can be written with just what is called a single view controller. And you'll see what that is in this course and know how to write those. You'll also, though, learn how to create multiple view controller applications, which many apps will use more than one view controller. You can think of, if you need to have more than one view and more than one controller, how do you send data back and forth between those two view controllers? You'll see that as we go through this course. You'll make use of the iOS 8 controls, things like labels and buttons and text views, just all kinds of controls that appear on the screen. You'll learn how to use those as we go through this course. And once again, you'll be able to run your applications on the iPad and iPhone simulator. There's a single simulator, and when you start it up, you can say, run this like an iPhone device or run it like an iPad device, and you'll see your code appear on that simulator. Now, the prerequisite, you should have already taken the Objective-C programming course. We have a real good Objective-C programming course that I assume you've already taken before you take this course. Or, of course, if you have the equivalent experience, then you can take this course as well. Some trademarks: the iPhone, the iPad, and Xcode are trademarks of Apple. Let's look at some of the module topics that we're going to be covering. First, we'll begin with an introduction of Xcode 6, a very useful and incredible integrated development environment, and we'll get a good introduction because we'll be using it throughout this whole course. Then we will look at the iOS 8 application concepts. What are the high-level concepts that all iOS 8 applications follow? How do you display text with a UI label? We'll actually write some applications that display text using a UI label and actually change that text as you touch the screen. How about displaying buttons? We will learn how you can display buttons on the screen and touch the screen, making those buttons change. We will learn how to do keyboard input. We'll use something called the UI text field, which allows you to input text from the keyboard into your application. We'll see how to use something called the UI text view. This is an interesting control in that you can use it almost like an editor. So if you need an application that has a text editor built into it, you could use this UI text view. You'll learn how to do that as we go through this course. You'll learn how to alert users. So as a user needs to be alerted, for example, are you sure you want to delete this photo, for example? That's an alert, and you'll see that there's various alert options available in iOS 8. We'll also learn some more touch input controls. So we'll learn how you can handle different types of controls on the screen, things like sliders and other controls. There's still more. This is quite a detailed course. We'll learn how you can display HTML in a UI web view. So let's say you're coming from the world of perhaps web development and you're familiar with HTML. Well, it turns out we can take that HTML and put it right inside our iOS 8 application using a UI web view. We can also access web services, and we'll see how you can go out from your mobile device and access a web service. A web service is something out there on the internet that provides some type of information. For example, the one I'll demonstrate will go out and get some stock information. So you'll give, for example, the stock symbol of Apple, and it'll go out there to the web service and pull down the latest stock information related to that particular company. Of course, we have to see how do we use images on an iOS 8 device. So we'll see how you can have static images. Also, we'll look at how you can have animated images. We'll learn how you can send email and text, which will be interesting because you'll see that you can, from your application, actually send an email or send a text message. We'll learn how to do multiple view controllers using something called XIBs. XIB actually stands for XML Interface Builder, and you'll learn how you can use XIBs with multiple view controllers. But we will also see how you can use a storyboard with a multiple view controller. So we can have a storyboard that connects up multiple view controllers. We'll compare and contrast actually. How do we do it with XIBs and how do we do it with a storyboard? We'll look at navigation controllers. How do you handle a navigation controller? What is a navigation controller? How do you navigate from one view controller to the other? We'll find all that out. We'll also learn how to use tab bar controllers. Many applications like to have what are called tab bars, and you can put view controllers inside those tab bars, and of course it's under the control of a tab bar controller. We'll also learn how you can use a table view controller. Gosh, so many applications show information in a table, and we'll see how you can do that using this very powerful control called a table view controller. And we'll end this course making some sounds, learning how you can play multimedia, both video as well as audio. So your system requirements, all you need is a Mac that's running the latest version of OS X. In fact, if you have 10.9.4 or higher, you'll be okay. So there's actually maybe some newer versions, but that's okay as long as you have at least 10.9.4, you're ready to take this course. Also, sometimes the question comes up, can I run this on a PC, a Windows-based PC? And the answer is that is possible, but this course does not support that. And everything we do is based on having a Mac. But having said that, I will say I've had students that will go out there with their PC and install the software they need to actually mimic a Mac. But again, we do not support that configuration in this course. As far as software, the only software you need is Xcode 6. And if you've got your Mac OS X environment, you can download Xcode 6, and that's single download and you're ready to go. So the curriculum path, we have lots of courses in lots of different areas, and you can actually start with the Programming for Non-Programmers course. And from that, you could then move into a Java programming course. And from there, you could move into an Objective-C programming course, or maybe even a Swift programming course. And all of those will lead you to this iOS 8 programming. So materials to download, there's a great student guide that you can find there in the Materials tab. There's also an exercise guide. Throughout this course, I will challenge you to perform certain exercises, and the exercise guide has a written description of the exercise as well as the solution for the exercise. There's also a lab setup guide so you can follow along doing the exercises in a lab type environment. So let's get started.